Welcome everybody to Becoming Untethered. Let's see if I can remember what it is I wanted to say. I was listening to, I've been listening to Michael Singer this morning because you gotta just do it. Like, I know there are other things I need to be listening to, or I should be listening to, or whatever, that it's important for me to listen to. But seeing as our spiritual well-being is the most important thing ever in our life, and I am working on mine, because it dictates spiritual and emotional well-being, right? It dictates the quality of our life and the quality of the lives of the people around us. So all right, so maybe like this. All right, so I kind of wish that I had like a noise machine in here like I do upstairs. Anyway, so he was talking about how about witness consciousness, right? Which is being able to be aware that you're aware of everything that's going on, especially your thoughts and emotions, so that you can not really separate yourself, lean away from them, he calls it, but also get to the point where it doesn't bother you. You know, the thoughts, like he says, we're addicted to our thoughts, right? We're more addicted to our thoughts than we are to drugs and alcohol and anything else. It's just obviously true. But we are not our thoughts, right? Our thoughts are these programmed things that go off in our brain, and we think, hey, that means that I should do something like that. You know what I mean? Like, it's we let them dictate our lives, but they are programmed circuits, and they're not who we are. You'll notice that you have a thought that you really don't like, that's been programmed maybe by society, and then later on you have a thought that you do like. Neither of those thoughts are you. Which is a bit depressing, because you're like, oh, but I like the good thoughts. They make me feel good about myself. Anyway, point is, ideally, what we're doing is being in a position where we are watching, observing our emotions and thoughts, and not letting them bother us, just allowing them to be, right? And I've been working on this for a while now. And what tends to happen for me is I have a thought that isn't useful. It affects me emotionally. I recognize that I have the thought and I tense up. The point is, at that point, you're supposed to relax and release, right? Because that's how you're going to release all these past samskaras into the ether, so you can get rid of them and live a good life, live a happy life, right? This is what the goal is. Get rid of all this bullshit that you're carrying around with you that keeps you from proper relationships and enjoying life, right? We're supposed to enjoy this life. We are supposed to enjoy this, supposed to. I used to speak so much better, so much more well, so much goodly. We're supposed to enjoy this life. We are spiritual beings that have come to this physical plane. And the purpose is, we're here to enjoy it. We're here to develop our spirits, our souls. You know what I mean? Like, that's why we're here, and that's what I want. I really want that. I want to get rid of this crap that's inside, that's keeping me from so much. And I am getting rid of it. So one of the things he was talking about today was this idea that you allow the thoughts and you allow the emotions, and you just feel them. Like your emotions are like a breeze, right? Like there's nothing to do about the breeze. You just feel the breeze, right? Sometimes it's a warm, gentle breeze, and sometimes it's like, in New England, where like the wind in the middle of the winter is like just that stinging cold. Sometimes it's like that, right? Sometimes it's like a hurricane. Sometimes it's like this. Sometimes it's like that. You just observe it and allow yourself to feel it. Emotions are both easier and more difficult than thoughts, because thoughts you can have a conversation with thoughts. You know, so or at least that's in my experience, right? I can only speak to myself, for myself, or speak to my own experiences. So, ow. I'm still having issues with my hip because I'm not old. I'm not going to do that. My mother used to say, from the time that I was young, which means at the time in her late 30s into her early 40s, and since then she's, oh, my bones, I'm getting old. I'm not going to do that. She's saying for 40 years that she's old. I'm like, I don't think so. Now you are. It's hard to see your parents get older. Anyway, that's a different story. Let's put that aside. Boop. So I've been having a lot of thoughts that I'm working on using them to evolve spiritually, right? By which I mean I'm having thoughts that spur a lot of uncomfortable emotions, or maybe it's having a lot of uncomfortable emotions that spur a lot of thoughts, right? Either way, I've become aware of the emotion, the thought, and I want to go with it. I can feel the pull. Michael Singer talks about that as well. I can feel the pull of wanting to go with the thought, but it's not a good idea. And I tense up, right? Because the thought or whatever, the accompanying emotion hurts. So I tense up, and then like, I'm like, okay, all right, okay, no, I gotta just relax and release. But I've already stopped thinking the thought, and which means I'm not allowing it to pass through me. And that's not the way to do it. But I've been aware of this for a while, and I've just had faith that I will someday be able to have the thought, complete it, and just be aware of it and relax and release. He said, relax when you have the initial resistance of the thought, and then the thought, release it. So my living situation is a little complicated right now, and love, compassion. My situation right now, I've spoken a couple of times about it with my housemate. She's not talking to me, and she is avoiding me. Like if I'm in a room, she'll walk out, and she avoids coming into a room. Like she'll send her husband into a room that I'm in to like stir a pot or something. And it's just like, wow. It's really sad. It's really sad. I honestly don't even. The reason that there was an issue was because she wasn't applying for the rent that we needed, and I was begging her and pleading with her and cajoling her. Eventually I started cajoling her. Maybe I was a bit harsh, but she was also ghosting me. She wasn't replying to texts. She wouldn't come see me. She's at a dog sitting job for like 3 weeks, and she didn't text me once, despite me texting her, please do this, please do this, please do this. If you care about me, you'll do this. I'm stressed out. Please, please, please. If you ever thought of our friendship as something that, you know what I mean? If you love me, do this. If you care about our friendship, please do this. Like if you care about my emotional well-being, please do this. And then it got to be like, well, this isn't working. I spent months asking nicely, and then weeks pleading. And finally it was like, well, that's not working. And I know what I'm about to do isn't going to work, but I gotta wake her up. So I just said, if you care about integrity, which is her big push button right now. She is very important to her to maintain integrity. Although I had to explain to her exactly what it was. I said, you know, if you do care about integrity and being honest, you said you were going to do this. You haven't done it. You said that you were going to do this for 4 months, 5 months, and you haven't done it. So if you do care about your integrity, you will do it. You know, and then I know that I also said, this is all text, you know, like, this is hurting me and whatever. And I kept texting her because she would not reply for days. She was just ghosting me, and it's rent. And I texted her and I was like, this is the rent. This is important. This is a big deal. And finally she blew up via text, blew up at me. And when I said to her, during the flurry of texts that went back and forth, when I said, like, you know, this is the case, you know, you didn't apply for rent and it's been all these months, and, you know, like, I blah, blah, blah. And I explained to her what the situation is. She was like, well, you know, I've been upset since you applied for the funds just for yourself. And I was like, yeah, I've been upset since you refused to apply for the funds for the rent. So of course I'm going to cover myself. No person in their right mind would have at that point applied for funds for all of us, because you proved unequivocally that you did not give a shit. Well, okay, maybe not that. She did give a shit. She did. The reason she didn't do it is because she was so anxious about it, which is bizarre to me, because, like, how is that anxiety? The anxiety of not doing it, it's just a way as the anxiety of doing it. I don't get it. But, you know, I was like, you know, I've been upset about this since you refused, you know, to do this paperwork. It's just paperwork and a phone call, and you wouldn't do it. And she writes back, bullshit. Like, so she doesn't actually, and I heard from her husband too, that she doesn't think that that's what happened. So I'm not sure what happened according to her. Like, I really don't know. I don't know. She's very similar to my sister. She's telling herself a story. Anyway, the point is, I'm walking around the house, and, you know, I know that people in it really hate me, like, very angry and are resentful and wish I weren't here. And I'm alone. Other than that, but I have this beautiful room. I love this room. And other than that, I'm, you know, so I'm having, like, let's admit, I'm having negative thoughts about her. You know, like my thoughts are not all good. They're not all about compassion and all about understanding. There's a lot that's, like, angry and yelling at her. And I don't like that. I want to, but that's the thing. It's like, I have to divorce myself from like or dislike, right? There's just what happening. And honestly, those thoughts are natural in this situation. They're normal. Like, anybody would be thinking that. So I don't want to be judging myself for the thoughts that I'm having. I want to just be able to have them and observe them and allow them to be, without tensing up and without being sucked into them. Because the ones that I get sucked into is, like, the ones where I'm talking to her in my mind, or out loud even, you know, like, that's what I really want to go there, because I want to get rid of that feeling. But that's not the way, neither express nor suppress, right? Just release. So I was doing the dishes, and doing the dishes is always difficult for me. Number one, there's a machine out there that will do the dishes, and instead I'm spending hours cleaning these things that a machine will do. But we don't have that machine, so it frustrates me. But also, when I'm doing dishes, my mind starts wandering. So I was listening to Michael Singer and thinking about what he was saying, and you know, having a thought and being like, oh, no, and just being like, but having an understanding of what he's saying, like a better understanding of what he's saying, I was like, oh, just have the thought. Just have the thought. Like, I mean, I knew this, but like, don't judge it. So I had a couple of thoughts that were negative and uncomfortable about my housemate. But they're not me, right? They're not me. And I was like, oh, that was interesting. So, I mean, like, it's a small thing and it's a big buildup for like a little thing, but it's a big thing. And I'm really, really grateful for it. I'm excited to allow this to spread. I'm excited to let this spread, this awareness. I've been doing this thing lately, working on being aware of myself as a spiritual being, and that my body is not who I am, right? We identify with our bodies, and we're not that. So I have been working on being more aware of everything, right? And one of the things I'm doing is sort of in my mind watching, like pretending that I'm out here, like having an out-of-body experience and just watching everything. And that's helping me kind of be more mindful. So that's a good little tip. Anyway, I have to go. I have work to do, and there's also a meeting I should probably go to, but I'll go to. So that's it. And I'm grateful for everything. And I love this room. I'd show it to you, but there's laundry all over the place, and I need to bring it upstairs. The clean laundry needs to go upstairs. Anyway, so I just want to remind you all that you can always choose to have a grateful day.